Hey, my name's Joe, and for about the next 10 minutes, I'd like to talk to you about self-defense. Well, not necessarily the act of self-defense, but self-defense laws. Do you know the self-defense laws where you live? Perhaps you've heard of Stand Your Ground, Castle Doctrine, and Duty to Retreat. I'll go over what each one of those are in the United States, and then towards the end of this presentation, I'll even show you how to do the research for your specific state. Okay, now for the purpose of this presentation, you'll find that we've broken these into four basic categories. You have Stand Your Ground laws, Castle Doctrine laws, Duty to Retreat laws, and states, there are two of them, that are kind of outliers amongst the others. Now, Stand Your Ground is essentially when a person who is involved in a lawful activity and is attacked by another person, he or she has no duty to retreat and has the right to stand his or her ground. Now, this is specifically out of the Florida law, but most states include verbiage similar to this. They have the right to meet that force with force, including deadly force, if he or she reasonably believes it is necessary to do so to prevent death or great bodily harm to himself or herself or to another, or to prevent the commission of a forcible felony, such as rape or robbery. Now, this doesn't necessarily mean shoot first, as some blogs and news agencies have reported. This person who still has to have a reasonable belief that their life is in danger at this point, and that the only recourse is to use deadly force in order to apply this law. Let's take a look at the states with Stand Your Ground laws. Florida's been in the news quite a bit, and so is Texas, but we've also got Georgia, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, Maryland, Pennsylvania, New Hampshire, Oklahoma, Colorado, Montana, Utah, Arizona, and Nevada. Okay, now, the Castle Doctrine. This is one that provides that if someone is attacked in their own home, that they can use reasonable force, and that includes up to deadly force, to protect their life or someone else's. It goes back to English common law, which is that a person's castle is their home is their castle. Now, this is taken out of some research that was done by the state of California when they were looking at other states' bills. Every state looks at this a little bit differently. Some states say that a person's right to the Castle Doctrine extends to their home only. Others say that it extends to their home and their place of business, while some go so far as their car, and there are others that actually include the defense of a child, in the case of a parent or a teacher, anywhere. The states that have Castle Doctrine are Alaska, Hawaii, California, Oregon, Idaho, Wyoming, North and South Dakota, Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, Wisconsin, Montana, Michigan, Ohio, West Virginia, South Carolina, North Carolina, Delaware, New Jersey, Connecticut, Rhode Island, Massachusetts, New York, and Maine. Okay, now, a duty to retreat is that a person is not justified in using deadly force on another if he or she knows that they can retreat and avoid using deadly force with complete safety. Now, it's important to note that complete safety is the determination, typically, of the defender, number one. And number two, that this law that I'm quoting here actually comes from jury instructions for the state of Connecticut, which is a Castle Doctrine state. So there's an exemption to this law that provides no requirement to retreat for a dwelling. But in states that have a duty to retreat without exception, this is typically how the law is worded. Let's take a look at the states that have a duty to retreat. You've got Nebraska, Iowa, Arkansas, Virginia, and Vermont. Now, there are two states that have laws that I've classified here for this presentation as ambiguous. They're not necessarily ambiguous, but they are different than the other laws. Okay, now I'd like to go over these last two states. They have a little bit more ambiguous laws. The state of Washington
doesn't specifically have a stand your ground or a self-defense law that authorizes the use of deadly force. However, the state Supreme Court has actually ruled that so long as you are legally allowed to be where you are, you have a right to use deadly force in self-defense. So this is very similar to a stand your ground law state such as Florida or Georgia or Texas. The state of New Mexico has a stand your ground style law, but it also has an exemption for the defense of property, but they've specifically ruled that you can't use deadly force in cases of trespassing only.
Okay, let's take a quick look at the self-defense device of pepper spray. All 50 states allow for the purchase and possession of pepper spray, but there are a few that have restrictions on certain aspects of it. For instance, Massachusetts has to be purchased from a licensed firearm dealer in that state. The state of Michigan requires that it can be no greater than a 2% concentrate, and that CS is the only tear gas that's accepted and can't be any larger than 35 grams, and you can't combine a CS-OC combination. New York has to be purchased from either a firearms dealer or a licensed pharmacist in that state, as well as New Jersey has the same law. In the state of, or the District of Washington, Washington, D.C., it has to be registered with the D.C. Metro Police. California has a requirement that it's no greater than 2.5 ounces of net weight of aerosol. And the state of Wisconsin allows for no tear gas or UV dye or combination sprays. Again, no OC-CS combination. And that OC can be no stronger than 10% solution, and the can must be between 15 and 60 grams only, and it must have a safety feature like a lock or some sort of device like that. Okay, Taser is restricted in several states, and those are New Jersey, Hawaii, Massachusetts, Michigan, New York, Rhode Island, and Wisconsin. In addition to this, if you live in a state or region of some sort of county or city that restricts the use of lasers, then you'll also find that Taser would be restricted if it had a laser device on it. However, many of them can be ordered without lasers.
Okay, now for this last section, what I want to go over is how to research this on your own. All day long I could go through different things, but I think it's important that I pass along to you how to research this on your own. The number one way I found to research a state statutes is by using the Law Librarian Society of Washington, D.C., or llsdc.org. What you can do is click on any state that you're interested in. Let's take a look at the New Mexico law where we were talking about the defense of property. So we go down here to New Mexico. They've got an option to click on the legislature, the statutes, or an administrative code, plus some contact information for the state legislature. Click on the statutes, and when it comes up, you can see I've already researched it and brings it to a defense of property. But almost every state has some sort of a search bar, and you can put in there dangerous weapons, for instance. This one popped up with school, but here's the state's dangerous weapons laws. If I want to learn about the use of deadly force, I put in the keyword of force, and it'll give me everything that has anything to do with force. But here I have justification and defenses. Click on defense of property, or there's also self-defense, deadly force, so on and so forth. Defense of property. Take a look here at the deadly force may be used to protect a person's real property if the interference with the property is accompanied by deadly force.
Well, I hope this presentation gave you a little bit better understanding of the self-defense laws where you live. Thank you very much for your attention, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to email me. Thank you.